Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Overland Bonfire Podcast, brought to you by Blue Ridge Overland Gear. Those guys over there make the best bags in the business, guaranteed for life, made with love, made with care, designed with intelligence, and we love all of them.
Wow, that was really good. I mean, like that was really good. I feel bad that you don't have poofy headphones.
Oh, that's okay.
You don't look as
I-
official as you should. I've got an extra set in my bag. I keep forgetting to bring it.
Oh yeah, then that would be handy.
Yeah.
And in case you don't know, but that's us. We're Blue Ridge Overland Gear. Hey, so here in Virginia, it is absolutely dumping as the system makes its way across the United States. We have dodged the bullet a little more than some other folks. Hope everyone's been safe out there, some of the areas that got hit with some tornadoes and whatnot. But we thought this would be a really great time to talk about something that if you live in the East, you're eventually going to run into, and that is camping in the rain.
I was on the edge of my seat through all of that. I wasn't sure if we decided on that topic.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like,
If
where
that
are we
was
going?
if that was real,
Yeah.
if that was real. We didn't
Something
have a
that
topic.
you run into in the East, which is
12 minutes ago, we had no topic.
yeah,
Suddenly, we realized that we need an arc,
which is
and-
beating a meth head out of your rig.
Yeah. right.
In the Walmart parking lot. I know I've definitely had some trips, some like, good God, it's raining trips. Matt, I'm sure you have. Logan,
Oh yeah.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
I think that a big part of that, and it goes back to being at some events where there's lots of rain, is you kind of got to tackle like a rainy trip from two angles. Are you just going to suck it up and like wear the gear, that it takes to be out in it, or are you just going to chill in the camper, the tent, the whatever? So, Matt, kind of like, what's your strategy?
I mean, I normally take a lot of gear.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, so I could leave rain gear in the truck all the time. Underneath the seat, there's always rain pants and a rain jacket, a light one.
yeah.
And then I have a more ugly weather that if I think it's going to happen, if I think
yeah.
we're going to be having bad weather, I throw that in.
Because you've got your what's your like really intense jacket that's from kind of an
It's
obscure
a mantle.
mantle. Yeah.
That like is great from November to April.
Because that's a true 3-layer.
That's a
sealed zipper.
monstrosity. Yeah. It's a monstrosity.
Not a glorified windbreaker.
No, not an overgrown windbreaker. So I leave the overgrown. I leave the, fancy windbreaker in the truck all the time with
Yeah.
rain pants, and then I throw that in if it's if I think it's going to be ugly or chilly. Because the only downfall of that jacket, if it's hot, it's horrible to
Right.
wear.
Yeah.
But if it's cold, you're in love with it.
Yeah. Because I mean that's the thing is like there's a certain point where the breathability of those lightweight breathables is going to get kick you in the ass.
Yeah. And I mean the biggest thing with that is it's like got cuff sleeves.
Yeah.
I mean, it's made, if the weather is ugly, it is really a great piece of equipment to have around and makes up for a lot of extra gear, honestly. And I do love that jacket. I have to admit it's a great piece of equipment other than June, July, August.
Yeah.
Then it's like wrapping yourself in multiple garbage bags and going into a sweat lodge to die probably. Yeah. Anyway,
on the
so
bottoms, what do you use? Because that's a place I'm lacking. I have some like cheap Frog Togs
I'm a frog tug person.
for rain pants.
So I have that's what's I think in my not the paper frog togs, maybe an upgrade from that,
Yeah.
like the nylon-ish ones.
Mhm.
Because the paper ones they grenade, and then
Yeah.
I've had some failures with those, but I do have like a better pair of those, and then I have I forget what my other ones are. I have like a pair of maybe Hellies or something. Helly Hansen.
Yeah.
Just they're nothing exciting
Yeah. Because
because I'm less likely to put those on.
yeah.
It's got to be cold and wet and really raining, like today where it's really raining.
Yeah.
And then from there, it's typically I've either got leather boots on that are, 85, 90% waterproof, really, that will get me through most things, or I throw a pair of muck boots in the truck.
Yeah. That's one
or
of my
muck
favorite.
boot alike, because I don't think I have muck boots.
Yeah, no. Oh, no, mine are. My last one for bogs, but I've got the muck boot Edgewater, which I know because I finally replaced my old ones after years and years.
I don't have either one. I've got one that's like orange lined. When you roll it down, it's the top half of it's orange.
Oh,
And they're pretty slick. I really like
because
those.
I know like lacrosse makes some, and then
Yeah, these are an odd and a kind of an obscure brand. I mean,
Yeah.
I bought them local, but it's not a common.
yeah.
It's not a common brand like Boggs or Muck Boots or Lacrosses or Sorel might even make some of
Yeah,
that now.
and then what's the ones that Jason Speck has that are like the Alaska shrimp boat or fishing boat? Like they're brown.
I don't know.
Again, that's like another kind of obscure brown with like a tan stripe. I know Green Top Outdoor sells them. They've got
Oh,
them. Yeah,
okay. Sounds like something I would like. I don't
yeah.
know.
They're more of an old school rubber boot, but from what I understand, they're like really well constructed.
Oh, okay. Mine are not.
Near,
Mine are like a regular neoprene
yeah,
top
yeah,
half and rubber on the bottom and pretty well cleated.
yeah,
Because I had a pair of Bogs, I think, that tried to kill me.
yeah. We that's something we've talked about, folks. So there's amongst your bogs and mucks, there's like a ripple sole, which is okay if you're on like totally flat gravel.
I mean, if you're inside on the cement
yeah,
and there's no water anywhere, they're perfect.
right, but
But if you actually go outside and there's any water, you're going to die.
yeah, because
Or I'm just not sure-footed enough for them.
no,
I don't
no,
know. Maybe
laterally,
that's it.
it's skis. That's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
problem.
Right.
But I've got the hybrid that's like rippled, but there's also cleats, and
Okay.
that's nice. Yeah,
Mine track mud everywhere. Like
yeah,
you
yeah.
just they're going to be like I have to leave them outside if I'm like today if I were out working in them.
Now-
I'd leave them on the porch.
I won't say it's a pro tip; it's a brick tip. I always get rid of the insoles that come with the rubber boots and get a pair of the wool insoles that you like trim to fit.
Yeah.
A couple of places like we've got a joint online that sells like all kinds of alpaca goods that we can get them from, and that was literally first day of the new buck boots. Like pulled out the insoles, traced them onto the alpaca ones, trimmed them with scissors, thrown them in.
I've never done that. Mine are really well insulated, so they're a little hot in the summer. But
Yeah,
I prefer that. I mean, I prefer to be a little over warm
yeah.
than cold. I don't want to be cold.
Especially
I've been
cold feet
enough in
sucks.
my life for that. I just have no want to be cold ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I've not done much with insoles and any of that kind of stuff. I
Well,
just kind of run what I brung. I've also don't own anything alpaca.
I guess they just
I'm not
it's
sure
easy
if I
to
have.
flatten them out. I don't know if they don't fight as much when they're putting them under the steamrollers like other wool bearing animals.
Is
but
that what it is?
Yeah, yeah.
Just easier. I don't know. I've never had a want for anything alpaca. I know people kind of rave about it, and
I mean,
I haven't decided whether I have anything against it, like chicken. Like
I find
think
myself
alpacas
wishing that I knew some people that had sheep that I could get the wool and just do the insoles myself, but I haven't been able to fulfill that void in my life.
Dude, I will drop off so much wool at your house. You won't even know what to do with it. I did that to Dusty, or Dusty did that to a friend of his that was like, "Oh, we would like some wool," and I probably pulled out 100-pound bag,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
a giant like stuffed in a wool stuffer monstrosity bag, threw it in the back of his ambulance and said,
Yeah.
"Merry Christmas."
Was that hey, side note here, for most people that listen, I'm assuming knows that Matt's family farms a sheep load of sheep.
Oh, we have a
And
lot of sheep.
one of the things they use for the wool, it's like offcuts, right? Is it's like excellent like mulching kind of
Oh
material.
yeah, and we use it. We'll use it in the garden and flower beds and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, because it holds in moisture, keeps the soil temperature a few degrees cooler. Like
yeah, and it's like doesn't bugs and stuff don't get into wool.
yeah,
Like you can like that's one of the nice things. Like almost nothing will eat wool, and the lanolin kind of does a nice job of that. Plus, if it's like skirting, which is kind of the belly of a sheep, it'll have a lot of organic matter in it. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
It's the
Read into that
back
what you
half
will.
in the belly. Yeah, read into that what you will. A lot of organic matter in it, and then it's really good for holding moisture. So we'll put it underneath plants. Put a little handful of wool underneath plants. That's what these people were going to do with it. They were doing some felting, and then they were gonna because we don't really have probably good felting wool, but they're doing some felting stuff, and then they were
and then
gardening with it. But yeah, we use a crap load of it.
I will say that one of the other reasons I like the wool insoles for my muck boots bogs is that I do have kind of like notoriously hot feet. That's one of the reasons I like all leather boots and not necessarily Gore-Tex, because like once you sweat in Gore-Tex, it just stays sweaty. And I feel like the wool insoles dry out way quicker. If I'm working in the muck boots and my feet get hot, and then I pull them off, and the next day I'm just setting or standing outside. So that's another advantage. Is
I don't know what the magic is to wool, but she said you were using alpaca.
oh yeah.
Do alpacas work as well? I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. I think that's what yeah, it's like alpaca wool insoles or whatever.
Well, that's not wool. That's
Oh,
like common almond milk. It's like an almond juice because you can't milk an almond.
maybe it's not alpaca.
There's no way
I'll go back and see.
without.
Yeah.
There's no machines that milk almonds. There's no. I mean, you
So
can.
what do you call what comes from an alpaca then?
I
I've
don't
always
know.
heard it called alpaca wool. That's what I've always heard.
Well, they've lied to you, just like the
Well,
Almond
hold on,
people
wait
do.
a
I mean,
second.
it's just crap marketing, right? I
Is
mean,
it-
it's like
You can
it's
have
like
goat
the
milk or cow milk. They're both milk.
wool comes from sheep.
Okay.
I
Now,
don't know
this
what
is a
to
serious
tell you.
question.
I mean, there's goat cheese too, but
As
it's
alpacas, do they have hair versus, because you guys have like
I know zero about alpacas.
Well, then how do you know it's not wool? Maybe it's
because wool comes from sheep.
okay.
Well, speaking of sheep, another tangent. This was Logan's suggestion. We were talking about podcast topics, and I swear we'll get back to camping in the rain. Is if you guys haven't looked it up, you got to look up the dude that just got prosecuted for breeding mutant sheep.
Oh
in
yeah, that's
Montana.
awesome.
Because we heard about it and we're like, how big? It was like, monster mutant sheep breeding program, blah, 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 blah. We were like, how big can they be? We Googled it. Turns out they can be terrifyingly huge.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was doing like crazy stuff, right?
Right.
He-
Like genetic samples and crossing and like, yeah.
yeah, they were like lab grown sheep or something. It was like
He essentially was trying to lab grow and selectively breed back to a type of like bighorn that's only in Asia and is endangered, and they are also massive. But he went like the DIY kit for getting
right.
to hunt those.
I think he basically tried to make those but bigger.
Yeah.
It was like
Yeah, he was crossing them into a bunch of other stuff and some domestic things, and I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was like, yeah, it was crazy. Like, I mean, it was like he was using a replicator or something. I don't know. It was full
Like-
Star Trek.
300-400 pounders, right? I mean, like,
Yeah,
Mass-
no, it was like 400-pound sheep was the,
yeah,
and I mean, and a ram is good sized ram is a couple 100 pounds, so you're talking double.
yeah.
Not that would be a particularly dangerous animal to have.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm not sure why the
But
government
where does it
got
stop,
mad at
man?
him.
Next it's like cross with mountain lions. Then that's like
Well,
mythological.
that's probably not a good idea.
Yeah.
Mountain lion crosses would be bad. I mean, I think
Yeah.
the hunting might be good, but the crosses would be.
So, hey, one other thing that I want to talk about, and I want to get your guys' opinion.
Can we cross a pack animal with a predator? Just I mean, like I'm not saying anybody should, but if anybody's got information on that, I would like
And
to
I think we know.
understand it. Please put it in the mail.
We do
Don't,
know the name and location of the dude that knows how to do it. 'Cause his name's out there and he's in jail. So it should be hard to track him down.
Yeah, this needs to be paper. Don't. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
want any digital copies of how to do this.
So one thing that I found with some previous gear, and it's just something I think it's important to remain cognitive of, is that like not all camping gear is meant for use here. Rain, condensation, things like that. If you ran into that, where like stuff that probably excels in the desert, just
Well, there's a lot of things that excel in the desert that don't excel here. I mean, the biggest thing is you just if you don't have airflow or breathability in the east, you're kind of screwed. You're
Yeah,
gonna live in a swamp. And
Yeah.
I've executed said swamp living before.
yeah,
With some tents that will remain nameless at the moment.
yeah.
That want to. Yeah, that I've created a terrarium for like a week in Vermont one time, and lived in said terrarium.
Yeah.
It was
Weird
really,
rainforest noises coming from the corner. at
Yeah, it was
night.
really bad. Some frogs and stuff started growing, and I don't know. It was a.
let's be honest. Certain parts of the East Coast, it doesn't matter what you have. You're still living in the swamp. That swamp is coming.
Airflow will make a big difference, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it really will. When when you close it up and it's wet, and you open it up and it gets wetter, and you close it up and it gets wet, and it's like, I mean, and I don't mean because it's leaking. I just mean humidity.
right, yeah.
Humidity from you, and so
And-
you're basically bathing in your own sweat for like a week.
Well, and the thing I don't think some people can comprehend. I'll give just an example. Is I'm always a bit, because I don't mind just to sleep out, enamored with the idea of a bivy bag, because it keeps you dry. Protects your sleeping bag from dirt and tears and stuff. I camped out on December 21st, whatever the longest night of the year is, and in a bivy bag on top of a sleeping pad with my appropriate temperature rated sleeping bag, and in winter, relatively dry air for here.
Yeah.
Woke up at 3-4 in the morning, which I don't know if you guys know that, but at the longest night of the year in the Blue Ridge Mountains, that meant that I had like 4 more hours of darkness,
Right.
maybe 5.
Yeah.
It was like, man, my feet are really cold, and this was a mid-grade bivy bag, and kind of readjusted and stuff like that, and went back to sleep. Well, the next morning I finally got up, opened up the bivy bag, and I had a big wet spot above my feet, and it was that where I guess it was kind of sealed up. My feet had sweated, moisture had passed through the sleeping bag, but then couldn't get any further,
Right. Yeah.
and so it just laid there.
the only time I'll use a bivy bag or the only time I ever have, is if it's raining or it's just snowing like crazy.
Hmm.
And a lot of times you'll get ice on the inside of it. Like
yeah.
in the winter, it's not as bad because it'll just freeze to the outside of the bag, inside the bivvy if you get
Yeah,
enough
yeah.
heat to push it out. If you got enough heat to push the moisture through the sleeping bag, it'll kind of collect up in there, and then it's not so bad. But other than that, unless it's just raining and I'm trying to stay dry, and that's my option, I don't.
Yeah, yeah. I think for me, it's definitely lean more into the realm of like emergency gear for here in the east. Like if
Yeah.
the truck's down and I need to walk out somewhere.
Yeah.
I've got a emergency bivy. But yeah, I think it's just I sleep too hot, and it's apparently even in December and when it's a clear skies that night,
Yeah.
too humid for that.
Yeah, I mean, I've this year I have not put them into play yet, but I bought not a bunch, but I bought a number of Canadian surplus wool blankets from what is that
Americana Pipe Dream.
Americana Pipe Dream.
Yeah.
That was a win. I'm kind of excited about those. That's going to live in my. I mean, I'm stealing that mostly from you, but
Yeah, the truck wool blanket has saved a few nights. Rarely mine, one time mine, but I've handed it off to a bunch of people.
yeah, no, I think that's a great idea because it's not something. It goes back to like carrying dog food as extra food, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you don't really want to use that thing unless it sucks.
Um,
Because it's a little itchy. And,
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're not gonna pull it out of the truck, use it, and then forget to put it back because it's on the couch now, or
no,
we've used it here, or somebody borrowed it. Like they don't really want to own that,
dude, wool blanket story where 100% came to the rescue. I had a prototype wedge style camper several years ago in my old truck. I'm not going to name any names, but if you scroll back on my Instagram, you'll see. In their defense, it was number one, but it had some design flaws. Was on a trip with Jason Speck. And
Design flaw number one
was-
it had no cloth.
well, yeah, that was true. At this point, I had the cloth. I was on a trip with Jason and the MSO crew. We were in camp. We had a bunch of awnings out. It was pouring. We were having a good time. Got in the camper and realized that the skylight, which, by the way, we'll never have a camper with a skylight in it after this, had been essentially channeling a waterfall into the spot where I needed to sleep. And like probably a foot of my sleeping bag, which was a synthetic bag, was
soaking
soaked.
wet.
And so I was like, crap, it's cold enough. I can't really do without the sleeping bag. But at the same time, like my torso is going to be freezing,
Yeah.
at least especially now. I try to wring it out. So boom, whipped out the truck wool blanket, actually like kind of burritoed myself in it.
Yeah, and then pull the bag over top.
And then went down in the bag. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And was honestly comfortable. Just had to keep the wet hood like away from my face. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and the nice thing about the wool blanket too is it's going to insulate wet. Like
Yeah,
it has all the
100%.
good properties of wool. I don't know about alpacas, but
Yeah.
alpaca hair, whether that does the same
We'll
thing or
have
not.
some links in the bottom about alpaca hair, what it's called when it's made into products, what it does.
I don't
how they make it.
I have no desire to support the alpaca industry. I'm just saying
I-
it's kind of like chickens. You should eat all the eggs you can to kill the competition. That's it. Not a fan of chickens. If anybody who knows me knows that.
Yeah.
That's my. If I ever text you, bring chicken, there's a fucking problem, and I need help.
That's our code word. That's Matt texts me, bring chicken, and I am locked and loaded.
Right. Something's gone wrong in my life.
So Logan, I know you've got more backpacking experience.
Yeah.
What's your OMG rain stories and tips and tricks?
The first one, your pants question, rung a bell because it was actually that Switzerland trip where I was ill prepared that I told you guys
Yeah.
about. I had never considered rain pants. I didn't realize that was a topic that existed.
No, I've been on hikes where I had a raincoat and I had gaiters, but none of that mattered because my pants were absolutely
From the upper thigh down, you were soaking wet.
And you get some weird wicking action. I'll tell you that. Like,
Yeah. So that was, as far as stories, that's probably a top story for just, like, we're in the middle of the Alps and it starts raining and one of the guys is like, everyone should probably put on their rain pants today. It's like, I'm sorry, you're what?
rain who? Never
Put on what?
Yeah.
It was a long day.
Yeah.
Hiking through some mountain passes, soaking wet.
I can't believe they didn't have like a gear list for you or something.
Yeah.
Like
we said, I think on your first episode, I'm not so sure that at least one dude on that trip wasn't trying to kill you.
All
It's
right.
just without blame.
It's possible, yeah. But it was fun.
Yeah.
It was great. I made it. That was the day that I also learned if you're cold and wet, just keep walking because you don't want the hypothermia to sit in.
Yeah, that's
So,
true. Been there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
keep moving.
Yeah.
Just keep moving.
Yeah. So no, we made it. That was fine. I should say that whole trip I think probably part of the lack of preparation or lack of gear list is we're staying in the cabins. Like
Oh,
we
okay.
didn't have
Yeah,
tents,
yeah.
so it was like, I mean, sure, it was like a 14-hour hike day, so that sucked. But the kind of the
Yeah,
thought
at least
is
you
we
got to the
get
end and it
there.
was
Yeah,
dry
Yeah.
and potential like heat source.
Yeah.
So as far as story, that's it.
Yeah.
As far as gear, I'm a little bit weird because I've got two separate ideas of rain gear. One is, even though I don't have an overlanding rig, I do keep like a more heavy duty rain jacket and like some muck boots. I don't even know what brand they are. It was just
Yeah.
a
Some
friend
kind of-
gave them to me.
Yeah.
They live in my car all the time.
Yeah.
But backpacking, I have frog tog pants and I have a nicer rain jacket. Weirdly, maybe I just haven't found the right boots, but I have become a trail runner. I don't want Gore-Tex.
Yeah.
Anytime I've had anything that's anytime I've had a waterproof boot, I just end up more uncomfortable. I'd rather
Yeah.
have something that I sit by the fire at night, it dries out, and then the next day it's dry.
No, I can totally get behind that,
Yeah.
especially in summertime, like because you know
Yeah, that's it. That's true. I should say winter.
Yeah.
Story.
It's different when it's
a
cold,
good
for
pair
sure.
of mesh trail runners and
Yeah.
good wool socks. Your feet will stay warm while you're like on the trail, and then they dry out way faster. Because man, down in the Smokies, back before I got away from Gore-Tex, I've had some trips where it was just like once your boots got wet, they were wet for 3 days, and it didn't matter because it's Gore-Tex and it's
And
a
then-
trash bag. Like,
Yeah, it
And
doesn't
in
grow
parts
out.
of the Smokies, you're passing through, several crossings. So
Mhm.
it's like, you
Well-
get 10 minutes in and you go, oh, well, now my feet are wet for
I
the next
was-
2 days.
100% fortunate to get in some really good backpacking miles with some dudes that are old school, like Smokies hikers. And one of the guys kind of convinced me that, Brandy's uncle Britt, friends with this guy, Rake, those guys have put down thousands of miles in less than ideal conditions down there. And Rake wears 100% leather Scarpa hiking boots, and he keeps them well treated. And literally watched him walk through creeks with like quality gaiters, and then he gets out on the other side, and there's like hardly any moisture inside, and if there is, it dries out quick.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing is
Yeah.
that decent leather boot will dry out pretty well. I was trying to listening to a podcast last night. I was even live. We should do this live. I don't know how you do that live, but that would be exciting. They were taking like live questions. It's like the Overland podcast or Overland.
Oh yeah. I mean, so we got a plan. Sorry, we're all over the place. We may do a podcast from the road. I don't even know if Logan knows this. I think he wasn't in the room. Oh no,
Oh, yeah, he's totally in the room. He was just doing other things.
Yeah.
Like
So-
he was actually working for a living, and we were. fucking
Matt and I are
off,
about to
think.
put down a.
27 million hour drive.
I mean, I think it is like 34, 35 with the detour we've been discussing.
Yeah, 30-ish round trip, whatever it is.
Um,
To more. We're going to more. That's
yeah.
that's the key to this conversation.
Which,
If we're going to more.
This episode will be out right before more. Let's see. That's the weather. Yeah. This is coming out the day before more.
Oh, so if you're at the More Expo and you listen to the podcast,
come by and see us.
come by and see us. We probably will be of no help, but
We'll be in the West Hall, same place we were at last year. And we'll be there in the booth. Come say hey, check out some stuff. We'll have some new stuff with us, some classics if you want to pick anything up or like take.
I hope we have anything with us. That'll be good.
Yeah.
It'll be good if we can.
At the very least, we'll have great advice.
Yeah,
That's almost free.
we may just set up and podcast from there the whole time
Wow.
because I don't know how much actual stuff we'll have.
You guys should do it actually from the truck. You guys have that section for the
No, we're
GoPro?
totally.
Yeah.
That's what we're saying. We're gonna GoPro
DJI
with. We
mics,
take the DJI mic,
Tales from the road.
and then we're just gonna randomly.
Oh boy, I'm scared to edit that one.
You may have
Trust
to.
me.
I don't.
You won't be the first person that I was shocked that they put it allowed us to put it on there from the
Right,
truck
that's
cam.
That's true.
Hey, speaking of being on the road, Matt and I like burritos, and I'm not calling anybody out, but if only we knew someone that worked at a nationwide burrito chain that said there might be some like possibility of like a mild sponsorship for this journey.
Or a free burrito.
you know who you are, and you're on the list of people that listen. So, Mike, hey man, like.
We're going to be driving for a long time and passing a few.
Actually, I guess I should
burrito
probably
places that-
text you that because at this point it will be tomorrow, or we've got on the road the day this came out. So
Right,
that will
right.
help us.
So, all right, so that might not be as helpful as
Mm-hmm.
as we were originally thinking.
Yeah, but yeah, come see us at More. We're on the back wall of the West Hall. It was
And
a
if
great
there's
time.
good burrito places between Virginia and Moore that we should check out, we're willing to spend at least 15 minutes extra or
No,
half
for
an
sure.
hour to detour to said burrito
Yeah,
because we like a good burrito.
we did
Or
somewhere.
pizza place, if you got a good pizza place, other than Casey's, because I like Casey's pizza on the road.
Yeah, we hit a really nice Mexican place in Murfreesboro, Tennessee last year on the way back. Remember that?
Yeah,
That was fantastic. I don't
that
remember
was
the name
good.
of it,
I
but
don't either.
yeah. Oh, and one more thing. Our setup time is at 8 o'clock in the morning on Thursday. So if you're in the Springfield area and have got any tips,
On things to do.
hit us up on Instagram. And because we'll be keeping an eye on that still while we're out there, because we've only got an entire day to kill before the show starts on Friday.
Right. Yeah, 8 a.m. setup and nothing.
And I mean, I know we're going to go to Bass Pro, but I don't know if we can kill a full day there again.
Right.
Hey, one more tip that I think applies to overlanding that I picked up backpacking and camping is if it's really, really, really rainy, just take an extra square tarp that it's pre-rigged and ready to throw up to like use as a setup, like staging area for everything else. I've done that on like some fishing trips with my buddy Dave, where like we would literally have a tarp that was like at the top of the gear. You throw up a ridgeline or tie it off to some trees, and then you can take your time setting up your tent, so it doesn't get soaked on the inside.
What?
Your sleeping bag, stuff like that.
Look at you go.
It is
Such a smart guy.
yeah, it is a handy little thing.
Yeah.
But what's important, and I don't think Dave listens to the podcast, but a good story is one time we had our tent under said tarp. We were there, and it rained all day like it usually does on our fishing trips, and suddenly we hear something like a heavy stream of water being poured out. And I don't know why, but I guess we just assumed it was a large mammal urinating. Well, I didn't realize the tarp had finally filled with water and was like dumping off on the back edge or whatever. But I will say that is a rather alarming feeling, just like where you've heard rain for the last 8 hours.
And now all of a sudden the chupacabra
It
is
sounds
taking
like
a leak right
Bigfoot.
behind you.
Yeah, it sounds like Bigfoot is having his
Relieving himself.
before bed pee,
Yeah.
and it just so happens to be 24 inches off the back door of the tent. So there's the thing, like, hey, take a tarp and put it up as your staging area, and then remember at some point the water will have to run off of it.
Right.
Don't be quaking in your boots when it does.
Right.
But maybe you should be, because in case it happens to be Bigfoot, take
True.
the leak out back. You got to be aware.
There was
Right,
a
that's
split
true.
second where I was pretty sure that Bigfoot was marking his territory, and it happened to be on our tent.
Happened to be on our tent.
Yeah.
Bigfoot.
He can
It's
have
his
it. I'm not
Right.
I'm not that attached. This is your tent now, Bigfoot. I'll head out in the morning, bud.
You can own whatever we have.
I think we have to have bumper stickers that say, "This is your tent now, Bigfoot."
This is your tent now, Bigfoot.
With like a Bigfoot urinating on a little pup tent. Yeah.
This is your tent now, Bigfoot.
I'm gonna hop on Sticker Mule.
We're gonna build that right
Yeah.
now. We probably have rambled enough about rain.
No, yeah. I think I'm
You're late.
I'm late, and I think that's all I've got. But hey, this next episode should be from the road, so that'll be fun.
That'd be interesting. And maybe the next 5 episodes from the road, depending. We got 30 hours. I don't know.
if do that math, it may be the next year and a half episodes.
I mean, we're gonna do that live from the road. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah.
I don't
It'll
know
be
how to
more of
do it
like
live from the road, so-
a serial. Like we'll just tell stories, and it's like part 37 of 48 parts next week.
like it.
Part 30 Logan. We're gonna have to outsource some editing for Logan. He
Yeah.
doesn't have to.
Yeah.
He doesn't have
That
to.
seems
live through
cruel
the
and
whole
unusual.
thing. Yeah, it does.
Well, yeah. Hey, thanks for listening. Thanks for the 25 of you, give or take on average, for what we understand, that made it to this
Holy
point in the
crap.
podcast.
I totally would have thought. Yeah, look, or it's gonna scroll by
In
now.
the credits.
Yeah.
There
In the
we go.
credits, we're
Yeah.
gonna give credits or something. But the last one, you should have seen your name on top. You're
Yeah.
scrolling by.
And-
I did realize we're showing them, but most people listen to this by audio. No one's gonna see their name.
Hey, we'll do a dramatic reading in a future episode of the
A dramatic reading.
Yeah, yeah.
It can be a standalone episode.
it's its
Yeah.
own. It's its own.
like a eulogy, but yeah. Seriously, thanks for the support, guys. Like, subscribe, and honestly share it with your friends. If you made it to this point, you must really like it. So try to find some other people that really like it.